All right, let's get right into it. You know, we often think of persuasion as this kind of magical art, something you're either born with or you're not. But what if I told you it's not magic at all? What if it's more like a playbook, a set of skills, of actual strategies that anyone can learn? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down today. Oh man, we've all been there, right? You're so sure you're right, you've laid out all your points perfectly, and what do you get? Crickets, a blank stare, or just a hard no. It is one of the most frustrating feelings ever. But why does it happen so often? Well, here's the secret. Changing minds isn't about being the loudest person in the room. It's not even about being the most passionate. It's about having the right tools and a smart game plan. And this right here, this is your guide to building that plan. So let's get into the first play. Okay, rule number one. Before you even open your mouth, you have to know exactly what you're trying to achieve. Seriously, if you're fuzzy on your goal, your argument is going to fall apart. Every single persuasive effort has a crystal clear objective, and they usually fall into one of these three buckets. This little table is everything. Ask yourself, what am I arguing? Am I trying to prove a fact, like whether something is true or false? Or am I arguing a value, a judgment call about whether something is good or bad, right or wrong? Or am I pushing for a policy, a specific action that needs to happen? Knowing which lane you're in is absolutely crucial, because it changes the kind of proof you need and how you build your entire case. So once you've got your goal locked in, you need the tools to actually build the argument. And here's the cool part. The best tools have been around for over 2,000 years. Aristotle was the one who first laid them all out. These are, essentially, the four pillars of powerful persuasion. First up, we have ethos. Think of this as the "why should I even listen to you" factor. It all comes down to trust. You see, our brains are basically hardwired to trust the messenger before we ever trust the message. So if an audience sees you as someone who's honest, knowledgeable, and has their back, you're already halfway there. And bam, there it is. This is a perfect example of ethos in action. The speaker isn't just giving an opinion, they're establishing their credibility. That little phrase, "I have seen firsthand," totally transforms them from just some random person into a credible witness. That's how you build ethos. All right, next tool in the kit, logos. So if ethos is all about trust, logos is all about the proof. This is your appeal to your audience's brain using cold, hard facts, data, statistics, and just a solid logical argument to make your case, well, undeniable. The trick, though, is to weave it all into a clear story, not just dump a bunch of numbers on people. Now, this is logos. See how specific it is? It's not a vague claim. It's data-driven, and it even cites a credible source. Numbers like 1 and 5, and fewer than 2%, they create this logical foundation that's just really, really hard to argue with. They make the problem feel concrete. But here's the thing. Logic alone doesn't always get people to act. And that's where our third tool, pathos, comes into play. This is the appeal to the heart. It turns out we often make decisions based on emotion and then use logic to justify them later. Pathos connects directly with that emotional engine. Just feel the difference here. While a statistic can show you the scale of a problem, a story gives it a name and a face. Maria. Suddenly, this abstract issue becomes personal. It creates an emotional gut punch that pure data just can't deliver. That, my friends, is the power of pathos. And finally, we have the persuader's secret weapon, kairos. This is all about timing. You can have the best argument in the world, but if you deliver it at the wrong time or in the wrong context, it'll just fall flat. Kairos is the art of making your message feel urgent and incredibly relevant to right now. Listen to how this works. The speaker is a master of Kairos here. By tying their argument to a very recent, very specific event, those new unemployment numbers, they create this powerful sense of urgency. The argument isn't just important in general, it's critically important today. So, you've got your goal, you've got your tools, ethos, logos, pathos, kairos. But you know, a pile of bricks doesn't just become a house on its own. You need a blueprint. This final play is all about structure, how to organize your points to walk your audience from where they are to where you want them to go. And for that, there's one particular blueprint that has proven itself to be unbelievably effective, time and time again. It's called Monroe's Motivated Sequence, and it's basically a 5-step psychological roadmap designed to move people to action. It's so brilliant because it follows the way our minds naturally process ideas. First, you grab their attention with a hook. Then you establish a very real need, a problem that has to be solved. Next, you offer the satisfaction. That's your solution. Then you help them visualize what the future looks like with that solution. And finally, you give them a clear, simple action to take. It's a roadmap to getting a yes. So there you have it, the 3 essential plays from the playbook. Know your goal, use the 4 ancient tools, and follow a proven blueprint. The big takeaway here is that powerful persuasion is never an accident. It's not some mystical talent. And that really is the most important point of all. Great persuasion isn't an accident. It is a design. It is the direct result of making deliberate choices, of understanding your goal, carefully picking your tools, and building your argument with a clear structure that guides your listener every step of the way. So think of this as your final pre-flight checklist. Ask yourself, is my main point crystal clear? Have I built my credibility? Is my reasoning solid? Have I made an emotional connection? Is my argument well organized? And maybe most importantly, does it end with a clear, specific call to action? If you can tick all those boxes, you are good to go. Look, the ability to persuade is honestly one of the most powerful skills you can ever develop. It lets you stand up for ideas, inspire real change, and make a genuine impact on the world around you. So now that you have the playbook, there's really only one question left. What idea, what cause, what change are you going to champion?